having right now, one of the most important things for those clients is having that lender who's going to be communicating that with them of, hey, here's where we're predicting that the interest rates go. Here's what we expect that new normal to, that new low to be, and set expectations with them so they're not waiting for a 2% that probably won't ever happen.
That's so
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Oh, Siri.
Oh yeah, Siri's trying to solve all of our problems too. So yeah, loan officers, I would love to hear kind of what, if there's anything different on your side. And then again, I'm going to wait probably another 3 minutes and we'll kind of start the full presentation. But right now we have Jay and Emma on as special guests, and we have one more person, Matt Honeycutt. I'm going to tag him right now. I know that he was going to be in between meetings too, to make sure he's jumping on here.
Yeah, our meeting just wrapped up. I went on Zoom version, so it was easy for me to jump off early, but he's probably escaping there right now.
I was going to harass him and tell him to come over here and do this so we could just sit across the table.
Yeah.
And talk trash.
Imagine that, realtors that talk trash to each other, but are also friendly, right?
Right. I can't help it, man. I love Matt. He's a good dude.
Cool.
I asked during that break, I asked ChatGPT what would make a good lender realtor. I can just email that over to everybody. We'll have it all solved.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to let this thing rip. Again, I expect probably another 15, 20 people to join this. Braden, Kristen, if you guys have anyone that you want to ping to get in here, ping them. I'm not going to pay as much attention. But Braden, especially, if you know people that would benefit from this, send them just call them up.
Yeah, I will.
All right. Let's see if I can be technologically literate for a second here. All right, can you guys all see my screen?
Yes.
All right. What a realtor wants, what a realtor needs. I think that, and I guess a little background on myself as well. I was in real estate before coming over to the lender game. So owned a real estate company, had about 60 agents that worked with me. I speak realtor, but just like anything else, the slang has changed. I sold that company in 2017. So the last 5 or 6 years, the slang keeps changing. I'm not up with all the hip words in the realtor language. And the goal of today is really just to understand where this is going, how we can be good partners, how you can, if you're a lender, how you can prospect realtors too. I think that that's a important spot of a lender, not just being able to stand out and be helpful. So I just want to do a quick mindset approach on here first to kind of say like, hey, this is the world we live in now. So this is what frankly, I would say realtor and lender profile looks like right now. 37% are doing 5 or fewer transactions, 18% 6 to 10, and you guys can read the rest. I just want to make that point that typically, whether you're on the lender or real estate side, someone's doing between, on the realtor side, let's say 6 to 12 deals a year right now is pretty average, typical. Lender side, I would say between 12 and 18. So a point that I want to make, if someone, especially a real estate agent, if they're sending a referral to a lender, this is how we need to think about it. We're literally holding, that lead is worth 10% of their annual income. How would you treat an opportunity that is 10% of your annual income? And if you're a realtor, like, you should not take it lightly that you're handing this off, right? Like this is your kid's private school. This is maybe food on the table. And I, I think it's really irresponsible as a lender if you're just taking a name and number and putting it on a sticky note and losing that. And we've all been there. We've all done it. We're busy. But I hope that Jay and Matt and Emma are going to dig into this a little bit on, like, guys, it's a big responsibility that the team of a lender and a realtor have to work together. I mean, if a realtor was being honest, they would say, I just want to work with all cash buyers. Think it's easier to get an all cash deal accepted? Hell yeah. Like, the lender is a commodity in the deal, unless you're the one producing the leads. It's a lot harder to produce a lead when the realtor has the house, the pool, the community to sell, and you're selling debt as a lender. Now, there's some generational wealth and ways to sell that, but I highly recommend that you understand that your realtor partners, your focus should be on conversion, and you are not starting at day one. That realtor met that person at an open house 6 months ago. They had to build a relationship with that person that before they ever even had the right to say, hey, this is my recommended lender I want to send to you. They probably went to the little Johnny's birthday party and had to bring a gift. Like, it is not an easy task to get a client in today's market. So I just want to drive that point home that unless you're the one generating leads and giving them to realtors, which then great, you're probably doing the right, because who control the leads wins. You're subject to understanding this dichotomy of our job as lenders. And again, Jay and Emma and Matt, as we get into this, please prove me wrong, but is conversion. It is converting a lead into someone that's willing to make offers. So I think it's really important that we understand how that all happens. And it happens when trust is created. And the equation that you see, I was a math major, and so I try and make everything math. If you haven't realized it yet, I have 2 equations and a breakdown of 100% of how to understand a client. But understanding the trust equation does not mean you have trust. It means that you have the ability to be trustworthy, and over time you build trust. So I think that what I've discovered is people, a realtor specifically, want to send deals or potential deals to people who know their stuff, who always deliver, who allow the client and that partnership to feel safe with them. And the focus is not just on their interests. Like, get rid of the commission breath. It's stanky. Like, get rid of that stuff. So, and the other part is understanding the client. And I just want to point this out because I think it's super valuable information in today's market, is how people are making decisions. So if you can help as a realtor lender team understand who the person is that you're working with. Are they married? Do they have kids? Are they going to have kids? What's their income look like today? What's the income look like over the next 5 years? You now have the ability to sell. And when you don't understand who the client is, you don't have that permission to sell to them. And you should be selling. People don't make a big purchase without being sold to. And you should be at a point where you're convinced that buying real estate is a opportunity of a lifetime for people. It is building generational wealth. I believe that every person should own a piece of real estate. So the second piece is, what's the pain? Um, and this is a higher percentage than the other pieces below it. The value and the results. Value is what we always lead with, and we forget to identify the pain of why someone is choosing to buy real estate. Maybe their family's growing. Maybe they have their landlord is saying, you got to move out. And we always try to leave with this value thing. I have better rates. I have this thing. And we haven't stopped or deconstructed our business to understand the pain that we're trying to solve. And it's unique to really each client. So my ask is that as we're talking with clients and as we're relaying that information back and forth with the realtor, we need to understand who the client is. We need to understand what their pain is, what value we're providing, and results is another thing that tends to get focused on a lot. And it's one of the least factors on decision making on why a client is choosing their lender realtor relationship. Your Yelp page, your social media, that's showing results. And it is meaningful. 10% is a meaningful number. But I promise if you focus on building trust and trustworthiness and identifying someone's pain, you're going to have a much higher ability to have conversion. So what does this mean as well? This means we have this intersection of kind of two styles of realtors and lenders. You have the talent show, right? If your business started with shots, like you're probably the life of the party, and you're probably leveraging just your talent. You have the ability to build trust and have relationships. And then you have the systems people, right? Like I know if I put 100 leads at the top of my funnel, it's going to spit out X. So where the magic happens is where those two things intersect. That's scalability, that's consistency. And these are the words I just want to leave you guys with, what I think a realtor wants. And we'll flip over to the special guest. But the goal is to build a business that has consistency and predictability. And that means that from a business to business standpoint, a realtor knows what is going to happen when they send you a lead. They understand it's going to happen the same time, if not get better every time. People go to a Starbucks every day of the week and get their burnt coffee because they know it's going to taste the same every single time. And sometimes going to the local spot, they're like, hey, like this thing tastes a little funny this time. So yeah, I added cinnamon. Like I didn't want cinnamon. I wanted predictable and consistency. And certainly you can have the talent show, and certainly you can be the person who just runs all systems. But my encouragement to you is especially in this market, is let's focusing on being an advisor to our clients. And that requires both. That means that we have to stay in that person's life over time and have some systems to do that. And it also means that we need to have some talent to understand the products and some salesmanship to help people make a decision. So without further ado, I want to stop sharing my screen here if I can figure out how to do this and bring in our special guest. So Jay Johnson, I'm not sure if Matt ever officially made it on here. I don't see him. He may be on as a guest, but Jay, if you just kind of want to introduce yourself, what your team looks like, and why you call yourself a realtor. Uh-oh. We'll have to unmute you.
Did you get it?
There you go.
Okay, cool. First, I'd say I don't call myself a realtor. To me, like that's a dirty word, even to me. We don't have the best reputation, but yeah, my team looks like started out with myself. Hired a part-time admin day one to track everything I did wrong, so that I wouldn't do it twice. She became my business partner, and now we have really just a small team. She runs operations. I do strategy and just bring in the clients. We have a couple other agents that now work the buyers. What else? And then just brought in another piece, as Jared was talking about, some of the pain points. One of the things that we realized early on, again, we're almost all military clients, was the education piece and understanding certain things and just the stress they're going to go through, especially first-time buyers, even second-time buyers, because every state is different and they're traveling around. So we built out a little educational TC type thing, and then hired someone to do just the TC part that also puts out education with each piece of it, right? What disclosures are, what they're going to see next, what home inspection. So even though we tell them up front, we kind of built that into the process too, and really just trying to continue to, I guess, improve on just the client experience on that side so that they relieve a lot of the stress along the way.
Well, Jay, thanks for the introduction. We've been doing business together for a couple years. He has a pretty good sized team. Been in the business for a little bit after retiring from the military. And the other guests I just want to introduce, and this is Emma, is like the rock star to me right now. This is her rookie year, and she is absolutely crushing it. And I think that you found that intersection of, using your talent and having some systems to back it up. So Emma, just, share your story a little bit and what you feel even a realtor is doing today.
Yeah, thank you so much. I can't tell you how much that means to me for you to say that. So my husband is in the Navy. We had a couple years where we moved all around the country. We moved to a new state every 5 or 6 months, and we wanted to look into buying real estate and investing. And I found anytime we looked into utilizing that, I couldn't find the answers I needed. I couldn't find someone who was willing to get detailed with me. And so when I got to San Diego and was able to set down roots, I got into real estate and really love being that person who can hold their hand through it. There is so much, an incredible amount of unpredictability with being in the military or married to someone in the military. Everything is last minute. Everything is unsure. I still don't even know if my husband might come home in July. He might not get home till 2025 on a triple deployment, they're now saying. So it's the amount of unpredictability is crazy. And so the ability for me as a realtor to sit down with them and understand what they're going through and lay out everything in crazy detail, it takes a lot of extra effort, but it really is worth it in the end. So I really have been loving this year of getting people into their homes.
Yeah, amazing. So, all right, I'm going to start drilling you guys with questions, and I want you to be just open and honest. And Jay probably has more horror stories throughout the years, and Emma, you obviously have experienced life in buying houses and being in real estate. But I think it's why I wanted both of you on here is to understand, like, hey, it's not just the big teams that are crushing right now. Like Emma, you are part of a pretty good sized team, a brokerage in San Diego, but you're independent. You do your own thing. And Jay, you have a decent sized team. So from both of your perspectives, what is the job of a lender? Jay, you want to rip on this first?
Sure. Well, I think since your title of this was about being partners, right? Like trying to work on a partnership, I'll kind of go there because one of the things that we get bombarded with from every lender in the world is what they can do, what kind of loan products they have, all this stuff. I honestly don't give a shit about any of that. And that they can close loans. I'm assuming you should. That's kind of your job. That's our job, is to close deals as well, right? So to me, that is such a small piece of it. So going towards, I'm just going to jump straight to the partner side, is being able to, one, communicate, not just with the client, but with your realtor partner, because in that sense, kind of the realtor is your client, really, right? If they're the ones bringing it to you. So that communication, both sides there, I would say understanding what that business model is, if it's someone you're really trying to grow a business with. So if they're going to bring you, 5 million, 20 million, 30 million, whatever it is, a volume year, then understand what that business model is and trying to make their life easier. Sometimes people kind of step on each other's toes, not intentionally, but like if you're marketing certain things that, and the agent's doing the same thing and they're not in lockstep, that agent's going to be answering calls about like, hey, I'm confused now from this and that. So again, just kind of getting together and knowing what each other is doing will save a lot of that hassle, because I can promise too, if an agent's having to spend a lot of time explaining stuff because of missteps, then either we have to get it together or you've got to let it go, because no one has time for that. You guys don't either on the lender side. So I would say those are a few of the biggest things, and just working together to build each other's business, because that's how you'll build loyalty. If you are clearly in it to help them build a business, you'll build loyalty. If you just need to close deals, and if you lead with, hey, this is what I can do for you, what can you bring me, it's probably just never going to come to fruition.
Yeah, Jay, I can remember times when we first started working together, we had brainstorming sessions until, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning of like just deconstructing how our business would flow together. And to put this into context, my team probably does, 3 to 4 deals a month in this market right now with Jay's team. So it took some effort to sit down and do that, and to understand like how to not step on each other's toes. And how to really look deeper, right? Go deeper into the situation versus just, I want to get another realtor partner. Like I spent a lot of time going deep there.
For sure.
Emma, what is the job of a lender?
Yeah, so 1,000% what Jay said, the communication and that ability to, work together to get better and make everything, to see that transaction to close is huge. One thing with communication that's huge as well is if any issues arise. One thing I've had happen in the past with a different lender, what an issue arose and it was told to the lender before it was told to me. The lender called and communicated that with the client, and it was information that should have come from me. And every situation is going to be different, but having a lender that if things pop up that aren't going to be shared with the buyer or seller or change the timeline of escrow, I expect a call so that we can decide together of, hey, I think Jared, your personality is better suited. They're going to receive it from you better, or vice versa. So that's a big thing, is communicating how you guys are working together with the client. And in the same sense, with, I mentioned earlier, I love doing the hand holding. I love getting extremely detailed with them. But by the end of the day, I've talked to them all day on the phone. If they're super nervous about something, we go to the showing, we're there forever. We go over, get an escrow, we go over the entire inspection report piece by piece for hours. And then they're nervous about the payments. I need a lender that I can say, give Jared a call. And I need a lender who they can call. And even though it's the same exact information that they've reviewed with them before, some people just need to run through the numbers again to get it off their chest and feel at peace with it. And I've had so many times where I've been like, call Jared, call the lender, and for them to sit down with you guys. And they always call me back and say, okay, we're ready. And I don't know what magic you guys say, but it works. And so that's super, super important for me, is to be able to put their stress at ease, even when you're just repeating stuff you've reviewed with them before.
Jay, you want to chime in on that?
Well, just something Emma said that just gave me a brilliant idea. Thank you for that, Emma. When she said that, like, depending on the communication, it might be like, hey, Jared, they'll receive this better from you. From now on, every time we don't get an offer received, I'm just like, hey, Jared, can you break this news? Because they'll just receive it better from you.
I like that idea.
Yeah. New role.
And just strategy on that too, so let's deconstruct this. Let's go back to getting offers accepted. And then we're going to go one layer back to like, okay, day one, I'm going to hand off this lead. What does that look like? And what's that gap? So let's go to getting offers accepted. Luckily, we have a pretty good reputation in San Diego. We know a lot of the realtors that do business and the teams. So we have to use every piece of that leverage, guys. And this is a great opportunity to have an outbound call. If you know someone else in Emma's office, yeah, you should call them, right? Like, you should plead your case every single time. It's not easy to get offers accepted right now. Make those connections, do those things. If you're like, hey, we're making an offer on this property and it's with the Whistle Realty Group, and you're like, hey, Emma, can you help me out on this? Like, she's going to be more than happy to do that because we've built a team together, right? So the realtors in your community are also the ones that are going to help you get offers accepted. But as a lender, I highly recommend reaching out to the listing agent. Again, have that strategy with your buyer, but for whatever reason, I've had listing agents tell me things that they won't tell the realtor. And then we just take that back to the playbook, right? Take it back and be like, hey, how are we going to strategically go after this? And when we start at the beginning and saying like, hey, we got to understand the ideal of the client, we got to understand how to sell this situation. I'm going to keep using sell because I think sometimes people think it's a dirty word, and it's not. Like, you're the leader. You're leading this buyer to make a decision, and no one, I promise you, no one says, oh yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and get myself a 500,000 to $1 million in debt and not have to have a little nudge, right? So have tools like MBS Highway, rent versus own, things that we can have, easy conversations around those pieces, but then relay the same thing to the listing agent, right? Like, hey, I've sat down face to face with this client and they are so excited to get your house. They're so excited. Like, they called me at 11 o'clock last night and they just couldn't stop talking. Like, we went over payments. They've been Johnny on the spot to get me all their documents. I know that Jay's sitting there right now getting warm and fuzzies of like, man, if I got that and I'm on the listing side, like, I'm putting you to the top of the stack. And those are the things that the in this market particularly that I think realtors need. So Jay, Emma, chime in on, what are you guys seeing that from the lender realtor partnership, or what's just working in the market today to get offers accepted?
Do you know what you just were talking about leveraging the people, kind of a back step into that, leverage people, and stuff, which, we do all the time. There's a couple of examples. First thing I always do is I'll look on Facebook for any common person, but I also do that from the buyer side too. If I see like a flight suit in a closet with a name tag on it, whatever it is, I'm going to stalk that real quick and see who I know in the Navy that knows that person, so that we can get a word inside what, kind of the back doorway into. But when Jared was talking about getting the information from them, we always call. I'll call, and another client or another one of our agents will all call separately, just with like, hey, we have a client really interested, whatever, because a listing agent will think they're telling you the same thing, but if 3 different people ask them, you're going to get a little different piece of story, and then we put that together, right? So that's step 1 for us, and then we can pass that along again, because we have those partner relationships, and give, say, for instance, if we get anything specific, then we can pass that along, say, to Jared, and going, hey, like, this is what we pick from this. We're writing the offer accordingly. We'll put enough stuff in there. I mean, I don't care what it is. You just make it match what it needs to be. And then Jared's going to pick it up and take it from there when it comes time to call them about the offer. And then the second thing, like you said, I mean, I think, and Emma, tell me if you're seeing something different, but right now on the listing side, man, the biggest fear for a seller right now is going out of escrow, right? Because yeah, it's getting to be, pretty strong seller's market, but still, as soon as something falls out, it's a weakened position and they're losing money. So they don't want that to happen. So that's the importance then as well, that we construct offers. We put them together super, super clean. We have everything there. We put snapshots up front, so they have to do as little work as possible. And it's the same in the lending side, right? Like, kind of making it as easy for that listing agent, if you're working with us as a buyer, making the listing agent's job easy by being able to explain to them why this person is the most qualified. Because face it, most of the realtors are lazy, right? So that's why we're very meticulous with even the emails that we send the offer over, because half of them are probably just going to push forward, and that's the only advice their client's going to get. So we want all that to look professional. So if that's kind of tag team between the realtor side and the lending side, I think that gives you a really huge advantage of getting something accepted.
Yeah, I'll add on to that. 100% the lender calling the listing agent is a must. I view that as it has to happen. It always has a huge impact, especially like Jay was saying. A lot of sellers right now are looking at, unfortunately, looking at the VA loan and wondering about appraisal gaps, wondering about, because we are offering over list price now. And even if our clients can be competitive, sellers are going to worry about possible gaps. Can they cover it? Are they stable? So having, a lender who's going to call them and make them feel really confident about my buyer's ability to financially handle this transaction, it makes the difference between that offer being accepted or not.
Well, I'm going to give you guys a tip. Emma is specifically talking about VA. So use this line when talking with a seller. Most people know about Tidewater, right? So Tidewater is this big, scary thing. No other loan gives you the ability to get a retry on appraisal. So why is Tidewater a bad thing, right? VA appraisals are coming back the fastest out of any loan right now. You get the option for Tidewater, which again, most people know about, but it's like, oh, appraisal's coming in low. We couldn't pick this appraisal. It's a totally different process. The VA changed their appraisal board system about 3 years ago to outsource it. So it's not the VA doing it. But did you guys know that even if you get Tidewater and the appraisal comes back low, you can do a reconsideration of value with the VA? And the VA wants to insure and give a veteran a house. So it takes about 3 to 4 business days. You submit essentially the same thing to the VA with a love letter from the client that says if there's going to be financial problems or they're living in a hotel or whatever that situation is. And I've been about 95% successful in getting the price up to the purchase price, 100% successful, the VA of increasing it. This is even on new builds. Well, there's no comps to say like, hey, this appraisal after Tidewater came in $10,000 low. This veteran loves this house. They've already spent money on appraisal, and it's going to be a better financial position if you will insure this loan. And if they insure it, the lender will follow suit. On a new build, we went up about 17,000 with no comps. Because the VA is the ultimate decision. If they choose to insure it, the lenders will follow suit. So they can override the appraiser. Please understand that's a
I didn't
tip.
know that. So that
Yeah.
is very, very cool.
and I share that with the listing agent. Hey, and they don't know that. So what is that? That's another opportunity to win over another partner, right? When you're talking to the listing agent and dropping knowledge like that. So understand those things, especially in this market and the shifting market that we're in, right? All right. Anything else that you guys want to touch on what is the job of a lender?
I'll add in one more quick thing. I think really making sure that that the buyers have a full breakdown of what they can expect. And I make sure that they know these are estimates, things change daily, but that they have a good understanding of what their monthly payments are going to look like when they are crafting an offer. So, I'll usually hit you up of, hey, we're writing an offer at this price. They're considering this price range. Can you send them a few quotes? And with those quotes too, that estimate of closing cost. So just making sure that my clients have a full understanding, so there's no surprises in the middle of escrow or the close of escrow, and then they're furious because they weren't prepared for extra charges. That's huge to know that you guys have that covered.
Look up the taxes, right? Like in most states, that's public knowledge. And through your title company, you should be able to put in the new buyer's purchase price, and it gives you the literal taxes that it's going to be. Know if there's Melrose, know if there's other stuff. And when you call that listing agent, think how much better you look too, right? Like you can win that relationship over if yours being like, hey, I already accounted for the Melrose, I already accounted for this, I've prepared the buyer, they are good to go. Like that provides a lot of confidence as a listing agent. All right, so then let's switch gears of, what's the job of a lender at the initial handoff, unless we're in a longer sales cycle, right? Like we're not in, you meet a client and they go into escrow, 15 to 30 days later. We have people that are shopping for 4 or 5 months now, right? So I turn over a lead. We've talked about during the transaction, what's the expectation from a lender from I turn over a lead to it goes into contract? And I think some of this should be obvious, but let's point out the tactics and some of the minutia in this, right? Emma or Jay?
From
the real, like what's the job of the lender? I turn over a lead. I mean, do you expect a lender to follow up once a month, once a week? I have a word that we try to use on our team. It says be proactive, right? Like if there's an opportunity for a client to call you and say, hey, I'd like to know about this, you're too late. Yeah. You're too late, right? Like, yep. We should know where people stand, right? So, from sales cycle, day one, lead comes in. I'll just kind of share an expectation from our team, and you guys can say, nope, that's wrong or right. But that person should be contacted within when a lead, whether it's joint text, an email that comes in, we have a form that goes into our CRM that the team can outreach. That person should be communicated with in some way within an hour. Some way. Like just say, hey, acknowledge it. Yeah. Communicate that. I get if you're in a meeting, like acknowledge that there's a real person and you're not picking up on day one. This is day 167 of work that the realtors had to do to get this person to trust them to say, okay, let's move the ball forward, right? So should be talked to within an hour. The first week you should be talking at least every other day, and you should be at a full pre-approval if the person can get you documents that day within 24 hours. Full pre-approval. You should show the client and the realtor the work you're willing to do, right? Like just get it done. Why are you sitting on your whatever?
You're muted, Jared.
Yeah, Jared, you muted.
I was gonna let him keep going.
You guys can't read lips. That's part of the job too. I want to go to work for you, right? Like let people know, like I'm going at bat, and this is the war that we're entering in. Like we're gonna go get your offer accepted, and if I need to come pick up docs at your house, offer that. They're not gonna say yes. They're gonna be like, okay, I'll send them to you, right? Like, and if you do have to go pick them up, like you just built all the reciprocity in the world you need to have that person trust you forever. So in a down market with you doing 1 to 2 deals a month, like, do you think it's worth the 20-minute car ride over to their house to pick up docs or to meet them at the Starbucks? Hell yes, go do that. Like you win, and then that person brags about you. So I just want to set the stage like that first couple of hours and days are the most important in building the trust with the client and the team. And what you definitely don't want to have happen is Emma met this person at open house. She refers you over to the lender. They see you as a team and they're like, hey, I didn't like your lender. And they fire the team. They're not going to fire just the lender. They're going to be like, Emma, that was you, right? Guess what you're not getting anymore? Deals from Emma, right? Or you're going to be put in the penalty box. And you should be, right? Like we have to treat everything like it's 10% of our income every single time. Like start treating it that way. And on the other side, like what if people don't buy houses and they just are renters? Like have some passion around your job too, and show that to your clients. And I think that comes through. So our role is first week we're hitting it hard. Every week thereafter, for 7 weeks, for a total of 8 weeks, we're talking once a week, and then it goes to monthly after that. If they re-engage with something, then we revert back to every single week because things change, right? Like, hey, I'm interested in buying a house. My motivation's super high. Maybe I don't have the assets to do it. And then all of a sudden they're at Thanksgiving And their mom's like, yeah, I'd totally give you the money to buy a house. Like, I hoped you'd ask for that. And then the whole situation changes and you haven't called that person in a month and a half. Like, this, ask them, hey, has anything changed? Like, are you sure like you can't find a gift somewhere? Like, this is why being a homeowner is so much better than being a renter. So again, some tactics in there, but is that cool expectation wise? Like,
Yeah.
sound appropriate? Cool.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think too, that's something where, again, knowing your relationship with who you're working with too, realtor you're working with, sometimes you can help each other out, right? Sometimes they need that outside, like if it's someone I know really well, sometimes they need that outside push from, say, you calling them, they're, oh crap, I better get this to them, it's not just Jay. Or sometimes the other way where you're like, dude, they're not giving me the documents, where I can call them like, hey, jackass, like what's going on? Just depends on that relationship, right? So being able to go back and forth and communicate that as well, because everything's different for each client.
Cool.
That-
Go ahead.
That is exactly what I was going to say too. The ability to communicate with each other where you're at in pursuing a client to, say, fill out an application for pre-approval. If you haven't been able to get in touch with them, let me know so we can tag team. I start seeing if I can get in touch, and it's something that I try to do as a realtor, as well as and trying to get better at, is keeping you guys updated with, if I get a hold of someone and they give me an update of, hey, sorry, I had a last minute underway, to shoot you guys a message and say, hey, it looks like they're going to get back in 2 weeks. Let's try to reach out again then. But that way we don't have to both pursue them at the same time, so they don't feel overwhelmed. Like Jay said, we can have one person reaching out, I can reach out, we can take turns, and one of us will eventually get in touch with them and get what we need. So just communicating where we're at on that is huge.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to switch gears a little bit and I'm going to just mention something because I think that this is a false expectation that a lot of us have that are building teams or have teams. Jay or Emma, when in this year, I think each of you maybe have one, maybe two, but have you done more deals with my team or with me?
Your team.
This year?
Yeah, this year.
Yeah.
My team members on my team, right?
Yeah.
Team.
And you guys still think I'm a good person, I'm a good leader, I'm helping my team, I'm not letting your clients down?
Absolutely.
Is that
That's an assumption that I ever thought that. No, it's been good. It's
Driving
been
the
really
bus
good.
over me.
I'm just kidding. But no,
Well,
it's been good.
I just point that out to say, like, use your resources. And if you are building a team, I promise if you're a good leader to your team members and you hold them to a standard and you communicate with your partners and help them build their business, your team that is focused on conversion is going to be a higher benefit than someone like me that's doing this all the time and speaking at events and doing the other things where I can't be everywhere, right? But I'm also gaining the clout in the community that benefits all of us to help get the offers accepted and do the other pieces. So it's all a big role. And I think sometimes we miss that misconception. So I just want to touch on that real quick. If you are building a team, don't be scared that you just have to do it all forever. Because most likely your team will do it better than you if you just let go a little bit. So this one can be super quick, but how do you stand out if a lender is going to call you or cold call you or meet you at an event? How do you stand out to one of you guys as a realtor and not say what every other lender is saying? Like, maybe you've heard the elevator pitches, I'm sure you have, or you get the calls on Monday at 3 o'clock from every core member in the core coaching. What's maybe something you've heard or seen that would make a lender stand out?
I can say something that stood out to me, kind of as someone building a relationship with another agent, but I've been getting texts or calls now from lenders sometimes just asking, they're trying to ask to hold our listings an open house with a realtor partner. So they're going out and trying to get because we all know right now open houses are pretty king. Like people are getting good leads from open houses. So that the lender himself was calling out to schedule open houses. And then I'm assuming then he would he said with his realtor partner. So I would guess to get new realtors, then he's either it's a partner he already had, or maybe he's using that to dangle in front of other people like, hey, I have this open house, let's go get some leads. So I thought that was pretty cool, that they're making that effort to go out and do it, because shit, half the realtors won't even make the effort to go get an open house.
Emma?
Yeah, I think a big thing too is figuring out what type of work I do, to instead of just going straight into, oh, we can offer this and we can offer this and this. Ask me questions, see if we would be a good fit in the type of real estate that I do to the type of loans that you do. So that's kind of a big turn off for me, is when people jump into what they can offer before even trying to see if it's applicable, if we would work well together. So definitely trying to figure that out first is, going to win me over. And the other thing that is not probably not what lenders are going to want to hear, but if I am trusting passing on a client to someone who maybe their pitch was solid and I want to try them out, I'm not going to give this person that I have never seen them work before my golden lead. But I am testing how you treat my trash lead. I know they're probably not going to pre-qualify. I know they're probably not going to get to the end of the transaction, but I want to try, and I want to see how you work with clients. And so a lot of lenders I've booted because they treat my those leads that I've sent their way as not important. Whereas Jared, I sent you one of those leads and we closed it.
Yeah.
So it's that's a huge thing. And I took trash leads and trash referrals when as first starting as a realtor, and just had to work them to get better ones. And so that's huge. It's going to be a test, but you've got to do well on those small ones too.
And that's a reality. Everything is a test. Everything is. And it goes back to what I said in the beginning part, like creating consistency and predictability. I'm going to keep going back to those words. Like that's what converts. And in my opinion, that's what a realtor wants. Like, do I know what I'm going to get? Do I know that person actually cares, right? Like, or is there just commission breath all over the place? And I mean, I talk to maybe 2 or 3 people a day right now, and not my team's taking on most of the stuff. But I had a conversation with someone trying to buy a $230,000 condo in San Diego County yesterday. Like, we're doing a decent amount of volume. Like that is someone that most people would throw away. I talked to that person for probably an hour and a half, and they respected me so much. The realtor, I got the information, the realtor called me back and is like, man, this market's so tough, but I appreciate that you just take the time, right? And so here's another kind of one-liner that I would recommend that you build into your just ethos right now is, don't have time for 10 minutes, have time for 1 hour. If you're gonna have a call with someone, I think we're out of those days of setting the clock for 10 minutes and trying to get off the phone with the client. Like, sit in it with them. They're making a sacrifice to buy a house right now somewhere. So have time for an hour phone call, like, or let them know, like, hey, I saw that MS sent this person that sent you over. I want to give you like the white glove experience. Can I call you in 1 hour? And just be prepared that we're going to have a pretty long conversation, because this is a big deal. You're not getting a hotel room. Like, you're not just looking on hotels.com to get a room for the night. Like, this is somewhere that you're going to live for a while. And I think it's really important that we make a plan and dig into that for you. And you'll be surprised about the trust barrier that's let off from the client when you approach it from that advisory standpoint. So 2 more questions I want to have you guys go, and then we'll spend the last 5-10 minutes on you guys asking the panel questions. You kind of already mentioned this already, but how do you be a good partner, or how to ask for a realtor's business, in your mind, so the other person that didn't make it on here, and he told me his wife had a medical thing, appointment that I didn't get to and wasn't quite sure if he'd be able to jump on. But Matt Honeycutt, the other person, actually introduced me to both of these other realtors. I'm gonna put this out here, and I'm sorry if this is offensive to the realtors. Like, I probably make $150,000 a year from Jay and Emma alone. That a realtor introduced me to them. That I also make really good money off of. And I'm not saying that the money's the end all be all, but guys, we're in this business. This is our job. Like, if you're not making money, you're not getting the reward. So understand that. And I did this when I had a realtor partner. The lender that I worked with, I expected to be a partner. I recommended to everyone. I promise you that if you're showing your realtor partners that you're the best, they're going to pass you on to more people, and then you don't have to cold call. Your job becomes so much easier. There's and I mean, I work with Jay's entire team, or my team does, and I probably work with 15 agents in Emma's office who has an MSA with another lender. Right? Like, come on. Just be good at your job, communicate, have some enthusiasm, and I promise you, like, it'll go way farther than even spending the dollars. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. You can sometimes buy the relationship, but I think when you look at conversion and the amount of tests that I think that our team has passed with Emma, like, she's probably made more money too by us doing our job and not just paying her a dime, right? Like, because we're motivated to do that. So, in your guys' opinion, how would you leverage a good realtor partner, or what are the things that you would do? Like, just off the top of my head too, thinking of, like, get involved with client appreciation events, get involved, like, understand what their marketing things are, or charitable things that you guys can do together. What are some examples of that? Jay, I know you have an event coming up here soon too. So.
Well, we did an example of that too, though, is, we sponsored that one event, well, last couple of years, and then we tag teamed and did the, after we sponsored that one, we did another event for the same charity, right? Just a poker night, which was great. It built business, but it was like casual, and we made more money for that charity. Yeah, we got another one, the NHA event coming up in next week. So we'll do the same type stuff, right? It just builds more relationships, and we can do some good.
Yeah.
I've been doing a clothing drive and door knocking for the clothing drive. I'm doing like a big pickup tomorrow, but that I would be super down to have a lender on that with me, but you've got to be a lender who's willing to door knock with me.
Jared's got a truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that's something I do a food drive every year. My whole office is food drive every year, and then I'm trying to incorporate spring cleaning clothing drive once a year. Super great way to door knock, and it's approachable. And if a lender wanted to, do it with me and door knock with me to do that, I'd be more than happy to have them have those contacts as well.
All right, one last question before I open it up to everyone. If you guys know, like, where are you guys getting your business from?
Go ahead,
If
Emma.
you had to off the cuff answer
Open
that question.
houses are my biggest one right now. So open houses have always been my bread and butter. They were slow for a while, but I feel like I do better in person than over the phone. So I'd say 90% of my clients now are open house leads.
Since day one, 100% of mine have been referral or from my sphere, like no marketing, whatever, fully referral and sphere. But that's also why it's so important to have these good relationships, kind of like what we were talking about. Those people already know me, so it's a done deal. If I pass it over to someone, they're going to use them. So it is very important, like Jared said, to kind of, recognize the importance of that. I mean, I'll throw this one out there since Jared, I'm sure your wife's not on this call and she won't, you won't get in too much trouble, but there's been events we've done. I had like, just dinner with a handful of my people at like sushi one time, and Jared will, like, hey, Jared, swing by, and comes by and has sushi with us or whatever. And then, it's all my military friends. So next thing you know, Jared's driving us to the casino until 5 a.m. But he's hanging in there like a trooper, so that's some dedication to help entertain my sphere. So those little things go a long way too.
Cool. All right. If you have a question for Emma or Jay or myself on just where the market is right now and questions that you want to ask a realtor and have them be super frank and honest, like, guys, don't hold back. Tell us that lenders are lazy too, right? Like, tell us that. So ask the questions, guys. I'm going to open it up for about 10 minutes here and we'll let these guys get back to work. All right, I'm going to start calling on people. I know you guys have questions. Does someone start?
All right, I'll take the lead on this one, Jared. Just a quick question for Emma or Jay. Guys could draw up the perfect loan scenario from beginning to end from when you hand off that lead. How does that work in your world? How do you see that happening?
Do you want to start?
Yeah, you can take it, Jay.
Oh, okay. Honestly, all of them are perfect if they're communicated and close. That's my my take on it. But realistically, it's like Jared said, it's the speed to getting it and getting it started, because as we know, people when they do reach out or when they do make that step, that's when they're most excited. So, if we give them too much time to cool down, not that we want them to get into something they shouldn't be into or don't want to be in, but we want to capture them why they're the most, excited and energetic about getting out there and doing it. So if we can't get that done quickly, that's an issue. So I'd say just off the bat that Jared said, that first week, getting at least in touch with them immediately, getting, if they get their paperwork in, get pre-qual so we can start showing homes and the next day if need be. So I would say that's it. And then just the steps along the way, being sure to communicate both client and to the agent, right? Whether it's when we pass milestones like appraisal, or just even if there's a delay for whatever reason. So we want, Jared mentioned this, and I don't remember what you were pertaining to earlier, but if the client has to call you, with a question that you failed, we look at it the same way, right? We want to educate and keep the communication going so well that if they reach out with unless it's something totally off the wall, then we feel like, wow, we should have already covered that. It's kind of the same thing here, I believe, as long as we're getting that communication, there's no surprises. We don't want the client to call us with a question on something we don't know is an issue yet. So I would say, honestly, that's it. Just keeping that communication and getting it closed.
I know we failed on that one time, Jay, probably multiple times actually, but appraisal came in low. It got sent out to the client. The appraisal got sent, and Jay got blindsided of someone calling, hey, this appraisal came in low. Like, I'm so scared now. And we had a whole plan put together. We just didn't proactively communicate that as soon as we knew the information. So understand, if you're working with a lender that's emailing those appraisals out right away, and you have a client that is like, oh my gosh, you need to be on top of that and make sure that your partners know, and so that you're have a symbiotic plan to attack that situation.
I forgot
have a
about
bunch
that.
of
I don't remember
questions.
which one.
Go for it.
Okay, so one of my questions is, it sounds kind of old school, like you guys are getting leads from your open houses. Are you doing any of the other old school stuff? I know Emma said she's door knocking for close. Are you door knocking before your open houses? Are you guys doing housewarming parties? Are you doing any kind of like farmers markets, any of that kind of old school stuff? And my other question is, why are some of my agents' deals going into escrow in like a day and other ones are sitting for 9 months? You know what I mean? What's going on there?
Well, I'll say for the escrow part, one is back to that lender and agent relationship too. I think another responsibility for the lender, is to educate the agent as well on the loan process. That's something that Jared and I spent a lot of time on. Because of a branch I wanted to take our business, which helps us sell our client as well to people who maybe aren't, for us, you know, again, Emma mentioned like people are scared of the VA loan. Sometimes they don't understand it. So that helps us be able to get that across. So we haven't had too much trouble. Well, actually, Jared, you'll get 3 more today, actually. I got the text a minute ago. So you get 3 more escrows today. But it's because of those things. Well, you probably see Maya typing from your office anyway, but yeah, those are the biggest things for us as far as being able to get them in quickly. The other is just the expectations, right? Depends on the client partly, but if we're not educating them on what it's going to take to get the offer and what they're looking at, then we're just going to be showing homes forever, right? So there's different ways that we do that. And Emma, I'm sure you have your own process, and we just have a grading scale for each home from 1 to 7, and they have to grade it after each showing, because if we don't get that done, flounder and look at properties for months. And they get confused, right? They look at too many properties. So just having some systems in place to keep them on track is number one. And then as far as the other old school stuff, again, my team does open houses now. I have done open houses, but I don't really do those. I haven't door knocked. So that's going to sound lazy. I haven't done any of those, but I 100% focus on education. So I have investor meetup once a month just from our clients, and then they bring people in. It's not marketed. And then VA investor workshops, those type things. So 100% is education based for lead gen outside of the referrals and stuff.
And I'll add on to that too and say, don't be, you know, when you're saying that you have some agents that they're going under contract in a day and others, their offers aren't getting accepted, don't be scared to call the agent and say, hey, let's brainstorm and see how we can make sure that these offers are getting accepted, because it seems like they're putting in a good amount. Tell me a little bit more about the feedback from the listing agent on why those offers weren't accepted, and maybe I can help them craft a better offer on the next one. Don't be afraid to ask the agent, hey, what's going on? Maybe the client their max budget is 820 and they are shopping for homes listed at 820. So they can't be competitive past listing price. So maybe there needs to be a conversation of moving that price point down. So, you really won't know until you talk with those agents who aren't converting. But yeah, don't be afraid to reach out and be like, hey, let's work together. Let's figure out how we can get these offers accepted moving on.
And lenders are in a great position to be a connector, right? So if you've got some agents that are getting it done every day, within a day of showings, and others who aren't, if you do have that conversation, like Emma said, and there's just, their struggle with certain things, if you connect them with maybe one of the agents that you're working with that are doing well, obviously with their permission or something, but that'll be invaluable to them as well. Like, hey, there's someone that has some tricks that they're getting accepted. You don't have to build it up like they're failing, but you can connect them to someone who is getting it done and build that relationship. And then you're just that connector that's helped their business again.
I'll touch on that, Mina. I see that you have a question, but both Emma and Jay operate in Southern California, do a ton of work with military clients. So if you have VA people or people moving to San Diego, Emma and Jay will be a great resource to send those buyers to. You can keep the loan. I'm not even going to try and steal it from you. We would never do that. But they will help a ton to have conversion and be a source for military. And Jay, I know you're all over the U.S. and Emma, you've obviously lived everywhere too. So
if you guys have agents, I need military working agents too. So even besides your clients, if you guys have agents with some military experience, please send them over.
Yeah. Mina? There you go. You can unmute yourself if you have a question. All right, we're going to wrap up in 4 minutes. If you have another question you want to ask, very valuable resources here. If this was helpful, Please put something in a chat so we just know that this was a helpful training for you guys. And man, I'm just thankful, so thankful for the partners that I do have. And I purposely try to be thankful, and I think that's important, right? Like, be thankful for the things that you have, and I think it comes through, right? So, yeah.
Hey, I have a quick question. I'm a loan officer. I'm actually pretty new in the broker sphere. I've been mostly retail lending, refinance, and brief purchases at USAA. But is it beneficial for a loan officer to even use open houses for clients, or is that mostly a realtor thing?
Very beneficial.
Definitely, because we have these leads coming in and they've got questions about the home buying process that we handle, but they've also got lender questions. And typically we try to connect with them at the open house and then get them set up with a lender. But it's great with, I rarely do them because I won't do the open house with a lender that I don't have built trust with. So I'm quite picky. But yeah, if you can get that realtor on your team to do open houses together, it can be a home run to have someone walk in and they've got all their questions answered, ready to go.
Another great way to find active agents. Just follow the signs. That's a realtor that's not sitting on their couch at home. They're doing an open house. Like, make it a task on a Saturday to go meet 5 agents. And then the one that you like the most, just camp out there. I've gotten deals of agents that I knew. I walked in the open house, a buyer walked in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you are so lucky that you ran into this open house and X person's here doing it. Like, I don't know how you won the lottery. Like, you should definitely talk to this agent. They know this community so well. And that person became a client, right? Like, and guess who sends me business? That realtor. And it was very genuine. Like, I really meant that. I didn't say that at every 5 that I went to, but um stroke the ego a little bit. It's not a bad thing to give people props when they deserve it.
You'd be probably wouldn't be surprised, but also a lot of people when they come to open houses without their agents, or if they don't have an agent, will say they have an agent because they just don't want to be bugged and they just want to look. But if then you say, okay, great, no problem, but hey, if you have any question on financing and stuff, like Jared can help you out with that or whatever. It's so weird that people are already predisposed going in a lot of times, kind of like going into a car dealership, right? You're just like, no, I'm just looking or whatever. But then they'll break down to talk to someone about the financing stuff because it's not what they were expecting to get hit with.
Cool. Well, Emma and Jay, thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to send a recap of this and I'll make sure to include your guys' contact information if that's cool. And connecting with other real estate agents and clients in San Diego and Jay throughout the world. I'm just going to share this quickly. I wrote this as we were talking, so just some big takeaways. Make sure that you're keeping a great reputation in the community. This includes being part of the community. Be a partner. You must communicate and be proactive. Not every client has to be pre-approved, but everyone needs a plan. And do everything that you can to make your offer stand out. You have one shot, make it count. Cool.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys so much. It's my privilege to help lead and be part of the Barrett community and leverage the platform that we are part of. And without being said, like Jay and Emma said at the beginning, you need to have great rates. You need to communicate. You need to close on time. Those are absolute musts. All this other pieces are the pieces where you now become not a lender and a commodity. You become a partner to a business. Thank you guys, and let's make it happen.
Thanks, Jared.
Thanks, Jared. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thanks, guys.